Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. Ahead is a video, which is just audio, just to pre-warn you now, of me and Todd doing a Films to be Buried With, which is a podcast that me and him absolutely love, talking about our favourite films from when we were younger to now, just like a whole mix match of things. It's a bit of a long one, I will apologise, which is why this is going to be a short intro. But we've been wanting to do this for ages and ages and ages, and we've had to do it over Zoom. The video just wouldn't download, so we've just got the audio. So here it is, and I hope you enjoy.
Right, we're recording now.
Okay, well, oh, hang on.
Make yourself look presentable.
I have now. Right, are you ready, Todd,
Let's.
for our films to be buried with? Right, so we've been through the questions to make sure that we've got the same questions. One question we haven't asked: how did you die, Todd?
Oh no! How did I die? I think I was just sort of wallowing in self-pity and feeling sorry for myself, and then just died of loneliness, probably.
Well, I was in a hot air balloon. It exploded, and I looked like a shooting star. So everyone just thought I was a star.
Was it like the Disney title sequence of
That's cute.
of the top of Tamworth Castle?
Oh, okay, so what film is the first film you remember seeing?
Now this is really hard because there's a few that stick in my mind. The one
Great.
probably is Thomas and the Magic Railroad.
Oh, drink to that one.
What a film!
That's one of my favorite films as a kid.
I think it's that one, and I remember watching it loads as a kid, and we had the video of it. And
Yeah,
we watched
in a
it.
blue box.
Yeah,
Was
yeah,
yours called the little Thomas?
yeah, yeah, it did. And we watched it. No joke, we probably watched it about 3 times a week.
Do you know what? I believe that. I think I watched it about 3 times a week.
We loved that film.
How old were you when you realised Matilda's in it?
What? I was today years old.
10 years old. She's the one that plays the girl in it.
No, she's not.
She is. It's like one of her last film roles.
Oh my god, no.
He's going to Google that when we finish this call. That and Alec
Oh,
Baldwin.
that's mad. I didn't know that.
Is that the first film you remember seeing?
It was either that one or um, Lilo and Stitch or the Polar Express. Those two, I think, were probably my first cinema ones. I'm not sure, one of those two, but I'm not sure. My dad reckons it's Thomas and the Magic Railroad, so I trust him.
Me and Beth have had an argument about this. Well, not an argument, a disagreement about this. So I've got three because I can't remember. I have the first vivid memory I have of cinema is going in and watching Harry Potter and the Philosopher's Stone.
Right.
Which would have been me at the time 8. And we can't decide if that's too off because I should have done before then. I also have memories of watching Space Jam and Land Before Time, but I don't remember when I watched those. So it's possibly those two. I also have memories of seeing Pokemon the first movie in the cinema because they gave you an ancient new Pokemon card at the cinema. It's the only place you could get it until they released it on video. And I remember getting it off a bloke at the podium at the foyer. But I don't remember ever watching the film in the cinema. So, like, I have memory of the cinema trip, but not of the film.
Perhaps there was someone in the foyer handing out stuff, and you went to see something else.
Maybe. Oh no, I can't. It's the wrong time. I was going to say maybe I went to see Harry Potter and the Philosopher's Stone. That's completely wrong times. Okay.
That's interesting.
What's your second question written down?
Scariest, is that yours as well?
Scariest. Yeah, okay. Do you want me to go first?
Yeah, you go first.
Disney's A Christmas Carol.
Flipping hell, yes.
Right, so I was talking about this with Beth yesterday when we were writing the questions down and stuff. The first film I watched that scared me was that because I used to watch horror films when I was younger on mute, so none of the jump scares that are sound-based would
That's clever.
Like, something I saw in the cinema was a film The Crazies. But when I scary-ish. But when I think of a film that scared me the most, me and my mum went to see that, and I think, came out in tears. That might have been the scariest film I've ever
Did you
seen.
say
Horrifying.
In three, we watched it in 3D.
Yeah, we watched it in
The
3D
glasses.
and we shit up. So I was about 8, I think, when I watched
Right.
it. I was like, oh my god.
I've only watched it once then because
I've
Beth
got
had
it,
never seen
but
it.
I
Quite
never,
watched it.
never watched it again, I don't
Yeah.
think.
We bought it. I don't know why we bought it.
Because I was in A Christmas Carol, so
Yeah,
I
so
wanted
we
to
watched
see
it
it,
together,
but it was horrifying.
mate. So there you go. That's my scariest film.
That is completely warranted. I completely agree. But this one's one that's got loads.
I'm curious. Todd doesn't watch films, I feel. So I'm
I
curious.
don't watch horror films. So
No.
ones that scared me as a kid, right? There's three. The one that I'll mention the other two, and the one that scared me the most will probably shock you because it's not really a scary film, but we're going there. So
Okay.
the first one was Coraline, scared the shit out of me.
Okay, I've never seen it
Creepy.
because it looks creepy. I think that's why I've never seen it. Because
It was when the mom with the button eyes turns into a Spider Woman at the end. It's weird. It's weird. And Spirited Away is the other one. Scares me. I don't know why, but it does. I think I probably watched it when I was about 10, and it was like the fact that the parents probably turn into pigs and all of those things that happen in it. That just scared me. I was like, I don't want my parents to turn into pigs. Um, and the one from my childhood that probably scared me the most, which doesn't warrant me being scared for at all, is James and the Giant Peach, right?
Okay.
I don't really know what it was, but I've never watched it since.
Oh, okay. So it's so much you've never watched it.
So much I've never watched it since, like never. And I probably watched it, that was probably, I don't know, 12 to 15 years ago. I think it was because of the. Do you remember that film? Did you ever seen it?
I've seen it a couple of times.
I think there's a bit at the start where he's with his parents on the beach and there's a storm cloud come over or something. That probably scared me. I don't know why, but it did. And then it was the aunties that he lived with as well. Scared the shit out of me.
Okay. All right. I think that's fair.
And probably, I think that was it. I'm not sure, but I haven't seen it in that long, so I don't know. I probably won't be scared now, but it scared me that much that I can't watch it again.
Can't look at it. Can you imagine if they release it as like a musical? Because a lot of his films,
They've watched it released it as a musical. I think it was the way the film was done.
Okay.
I don't think it was. I don't think it like. I loved the book and I loved everything about it. I think it's the way that this film particularly was done that just horrified me. Don't really know why.
One thing I wanted to mention before we move on, I'm assuming Cried is yours next.
Yeah.
Yeah. I've just realised that when I was listening to the podcast yesterday, the host knows pretty much every single film, and both of us sitting there going, "No, I don't really." For a couple of them, have you got Janet John Pate? Maybe. We're not as good, but we roll with it.
We can try.
Exactly. So, what film made you cry, Todd? You go first.
Okay, so in the cinema, it was either Toy Story 3 or Onward. Onward's the most recent film I've seen at the cinema, and I was in bits.
That's just come out on DVD.
Has it? Oh, it's so good.
Looking at it and we were like, shall we? But it wasn't the Blu-ray copy, and she was like, we'll just get it on Blu-ray.
Oh, fair enough. See,
interesting, because I'm assuming Toy Story 3 was the only answer for that because you've updated it.
Yeah,
So
I updated it.
Yeah.
Which is interesting. Onward, I was in absolute bits. I think it's because it's Chris Pratt and Tom Holland, and Chris Pratt's like the older brother, and he reminds me of my older brother quite a lot in the film, and I was just bawling my eyes out. And And then at home, film that I've watched at home is probably The Impossible.
Okay.
Yeah.
I've not seen it because I've heard it's really emotional, so I've sort of dodged it.
It's about the 2003 Thailand tsunami. Flipping.
That is powerful.
Is it?
It's a powerful.
Tom Holland's in that as well, actually.
Is he?
Yes.
Interesting.
A very young.
Series of a thing with Todd's picks.
But I was in bits, and then I've got honourable mentions, but they're not. There's nothing about them really. I think it's either Impossible or Onward are my two. But my honourable mentions are Inside Out, Marley and Me,
Fair.
Me Before You,
Okay.
and Coco.
Coco, I'm with you on.
Yeah.
Coco gets me every time I watch it. But it is not on my list. I have two.
Oh god.
So my first one on my list is Jurassic Park.
Really?
Every single time I watched it up until the age of about 14, you know, as the pterodactyls fly away
Yeah.
and the music swells, I just bawl. Like, even to a point where, and I remember it being around 14, I was about 14, and it came on TV, and I was like, this is the time. I was sat watching it, and I went, it's just so beautiful. And that was it. I started crying.
But it's
I've ruined it for me.
Go on. What's the other one?
My other one, so this one is cinema related. So we've sort of done the similar things. So that's at home, and then cinema.
Yeah.
For me, was Fault in Our Stars.
Oh, nice choice.
I read the book before I went to see it, and I was sat watching it. And it's one of those ones that the trailers had happened, and then the second it started, I was like, the end of this is so bad. And I was in. I just started crying instantly. I cried like 5 times during the film.
That's mad. I remember there was a point in my teen years where I just saw John Green films. I'd read the book first and I'd go and see the film straight away. Like, not just John, no, it was actually sort of more teeny films, so I did the same with Divergent and that as well.
Okay.
I remember being about 13 or 14 and just doing that, and me and my friends would go, we were like, right, we've read the book, let's go and see the film. Or
I've not seen Divergent. I did watch Maze Runner, the first 2 Maze Runners the other week.
Oh, they are good.
Did you see Paper Towns?
Yeah, I did, and I enjoyed it when I saw it, but I don't think I'll enjoy it now.
Is that a spoiler for later on?
No, it's not a spoiler for that one, but thinking about it, it came on telly last night actually, but I didn't watch it. I saw it was on. I was like,
yeah.
I watched it in the cinema.
Too.
Yeah, I really enjoyed the book, and the film I enjoyed when I saw it, and I haven't seen it since. But I don't think I'd enjoy it now. I don't know.
I've only ever read 2 of his books, and those are the 2. And I much prefer Paper Towns to Fault in Our Stars.
Yeah, the book.
I'm a huge fan. Yeah, the book.
Yeah, I prefer the
Huge
book.
fan.
I liked the book.
Right, you can go. What's the next question on yours?
Okay. Film that you love but critics hate. Okay. I've gone with the 2004 adaptation of Thunderbirds with Vanessa Hudgens and Ben Kingsley.
Film.
Yeah.
No. That's just been added to Netflix.
I love that film, and it's only got 19% on Rotten Tomatoes.
No way. We need to watch that again. It came onto Netflix on the 1st of June.
And Busted did the song, and it just...
That's why we went to see it. That is 100% why I went to see it. We literally had this conversation the other day. Like, have you seen that? Went, yeah, and I was like, because yeah, that's why I went to see it. We loved it.
Such a brilliant film, and I remember that's one I used to watch quite a lot as a kid as well. I think loved it, and then when I was struggling with that one, I was googling old films, and that was one that came up with a really bad critic score, and I was like, what? So there it is.
Haven't checked Rotten Tomatoes, so I'll check what. So mine is a favourite film, one of my favourite films of all, and it's called Sharktopus, which I'm sure you've heard me talk about before. I remember picking film a friend for his birthday, for Jack Millman for his birthday. I don't even know why. I think he hates shark movies, and I still bought it for his birthday. And the advice slogan on the front of the packet, on the front of the DVD, okay, 50% shark, 50% octopus, 100% killer, and I'll never forget that. I used to watch it all the time at school, in sick form, in breaks. I used to just sit and watch Shark Film. You wouldn't even do it.
I've never seen it.
On Tomatoes isn't working. I'll have to, unless you can have a look. I can't find out what
Try and have a look.
tomato meat is.
What was it called? Where you were putting off then?
Sharktopus. Sharktopus.
Sharktopus.
Sharktopus. It's 100% my favourite film ever.
Really?
Oh, it's got 57% on Rotten Tomatoes.
I'm so sorry, I've gone too high. I'm
It's
so
all
sorry.
good. It's all good.
Well, I'll tell you what, back up until that is Charlie and the Chocolate Factory with Johnny Depp.
Okay.
A lot of people hate that movie, and
See,
now, especially
I enjoyed
the
that.
stuff that was. I was a big fan of that film.
Yeah, I enjoyed it. I don't enjoy it more than the original. I like the original better, but
That's fair. I've not seen the original in a long
yeah. But
so what's is it the Used to Love? Is that your next one?
mine's yeah, film that you used to love. Go on, you go first.
Okay, so the film we used to love, but now realise it's not as we thought it was. Cats and Dogs.
Oh, what a film!
See, I always thought the same thing, and then I rewatched it. Don't spoil it for yourself, Todd.
I'm not. Should I not rewatch it then?
When I rewatched it, I don't think I made it to the end.
Really?
I don't. the animation has not aged well.
No.
Because I used to love that as a kid, and I hate dogs, and I used to love cats and dogs.
I love
But
Jeff Goldblum being an absolute G.
yeah, exactly. Jeff Goldblum's in it, and it's still not great.
That's,
don't really-
yeah, I didn't know.
It's
Oh,
amazing.
that's really upset me.
What have you got?
Okay, mine. This is the question that I talked to you about the other day that changed literally the other day.
Okay.
Because it was on telly and we only watched the last 10 minutes of it. But I was like, no, this does not hold up.
Okay.
Even the last 10 minutes. Was Spy Kids 3.
No! Oh no, Todd!
I promise you that film does not hold up, Tom.
So, I 100% can agree with you already, I'm sure. Do you remember that Elijah Wood's in that film?
Yeah, I didn't until I saw them come out and I was like, whoa, Elijah Wood.
The effects on that are dreadful.
God awful.
So originally, weirdly enough, but I changed it yesterday. Spy Kids 2 was mine.
Was it? See, I loved Spy Kids 2, but I haven't watched it again, so I don't.
I loved Spy Kids 2, which is why I changed it, because my issues have never changed. The issues I had with the film at the time was sound. The sound, like, booms and, like, cracks and stuff at parts. And I've always had that problem with it. But Spy Kids 3, in fairness to you, that hasn't held up well. That's some bad animation.
And it was the granddad in the wheelchair, the fact that he becomes this Superman in the game, and flipping hell.
It makes me wonder how Shark Boy and Lava Girl has held up.
I know. That was another one that I was thinking of, and I thought I haven't watched it since. Do you remember the DVD used to come with the 3D glasses?
Yeah. I had the Spy Kids 3D glasses. I bought the video. Was it a video? No, it was DVD at the time. And I had the 3D glasses in there that were like Spy Kids 3D glasses. And he just put on these glasses like that. And it flashes up on the bottom of your screen, put on glasses now.
That's funny. Do you remember Alan Cummins in the original Spy Kids as well?
Also can. In fact, when I was working at the cinema, I won't be specific, just in case. We had like a quiet shift, and I came down the stairs after my break. And as I walked down the stairs, someone went, "Floop is a madman. Help us, save us!" And I stopped, and I just looked at them, and they went, "What?" And I went, "Have you just quoted Spy Kids at me?" And she looked at me and she went, I'm going to be honest with you. You're the only person that knows that that's the quote." And then we spent the rest of my shift flipping it to figure out what it meant back, how to say it backwards. And at one point, I nailed it, and I can't remember it anymore. All I can remember is "soup, pepper, soup." That's all I can remember.
That's
I
amazing.
know the whole thing, and we tried it and reversed it, and it worked. Strange aside, but Alan Cumming is one of like my favorite actors. So yeah, I remember he's in that. He's also in Son of the Mask, which doesn't hold up now because
It doesn't hold up. No, that's one, but
then.
it did then. It was all right then. It was an all right sequel, but yeah. Oh,
Right.
wow.
So what's next on your list?
My next one is film with a lot of meaning to me.
Okay.
Go on, you go first.
I have a lot on this
Go
one.
on, go on.
My choice, I will save to the end. So when I was talking about this with Beth, she was surprised by my choice because she thought I was going to say 10 things I hate about you.
Nice,
I could have said The Dark Knight.
nice.
I could have said Airplane, and I could have said Naked Gun. All for the same reason. These are the 4 films that made me want to be an actor.
Leslie Nelson.
Leslie Nielsen's one of the main reasons I want to be an actor, and Heath Ledger is one of the others, and Joseph Gordon-Levitt. So all of these, and like when I first watched 10 Things I Hate About You, I was like, 100% this is what I want to do. When I first watched Airplane and Naked Gun, I was like, that's me as an actor. 100% that is me.
It's a bit with the blow up doll in the passenger seat. It kills me every time.
Todd loves it. You need to get on this.
And
Beth through
the
half an hour. She didn't even make it to Otto. She didn't even make it to Otto.
no.
Turned it off. I can tell you what point we turned it off at because I was like, you have to watch it till this point at least to see if I can save the film. She watched it to I Take It Black Like My Men. And she went, what are we watching? So I'm hoping that she enjoys Naked Gun. I'm hoping I can save it with Naked Gun.
Yeah, hopefully.
But my choice is Iron Man.
Ooh, the first one.
Yes, because, and I can't figure out the timing of this. I can't remember if me and Jack were going to see it thinking that The Dark Knight had come out, or if they were both out. They weren't around the same time. They went to the cinema, going to see The Dark Knight, and just go around to pick up your snack, thought you were doing, and then go to it. We ended up in game. And while we were in game, they had, when they have like TVs and the controllers and you can play the game in the shop, they had Iron Man in it. And we were playing Iron Man, and it was terrible. The video game was terrible, and we were taking the mick out of it completely. Went to the cinema to go and watch The Dark Knight, and either it wasn't on or we didn't screen it, and it was going to be another hour. And we were like, well, what do we say? So we really wanted to watch that game. We were just playing out. Should we go and watch? And the bit where the explosion happens at the start with Tony Stark in there and it all ripples literally blew me away. And at that point, I was like, "This is great! I'm so glad we saw this instead."
Oh, sick!
So just for memory, I've put that as my most memorable, relatable film.
Oh, that's so nice. That's such a nice story.
See, I like that story, and that's why I put it there. So what you...
Okay, so mine is Billy Elliot.
Okay, I can imagine that being yours. I want you to tell why, but I can imagine why.
Because it was the first West End show I ever saw was Billy Elliot when I was 10. I think, yeah. And I wasn't allowed to watch the film before that because it was a 15 and I was only 10. And so So then I wasn't allowed to watch the film at all, and then we went to go and see the show. And before my mum booked the tickets, I went with my nan and granddad and my mum. And it was a birthday present, and we went in the March, or got them in the January, or whatever. And then the my mum rang them up saying, "Look, is this suitable for a 10-year-old?" And she was like, "Yeah, we've got 8-year-olds in the cast. It's absolutely fine." We went, and the language was horrendous, like
Yeah, there's
horrendous.
8-year-olds in it.
And then my mum was like, "I can't believe this," but she said the language is worse in this than the film, so you can watch the film now. So I watched the film then. Um,
Knowing what your mum is like, I can imagine she nearly walked out of the first act.
she was like, "I can't believe this." She told me it was fine. There's 8-year-olds in the cast. Um,
There's like 8-year-olds in the cast of Priscilla, and that's not
His mum's she doesn't
suitable.
like bad language and stuff like this. I was amazed once Todd got to see it at Book of Mormon. I
she nearly
still
walked, she
don't know
nearly,
how
she
he did
nearly
it.
walked out of Book of Mormon. I promise you. The amount of warnings we gave my mum about Book of Mormon, and she was like, "Oh, it's fine. It's probably just a bit blasphemous. I'll be fine." No, mum, you don't understand. You don't understand. She booked it. She was on to book the tickets. Um, and then
Are you telling me about this as it was shit not going?
it was horrendous. And then I'll never forget this. We half the time when we saw the Book of Mormon, we kept looking at my mum to see her face because it was even funnier because she was just like, and then, and then I came out and I rang my mate James. I said, "James, I told you she'd hate it," and I said, and he said, "I told her as well. We all told her," and we were just laughing down the phone at each other, going, "I can't believe that she didn't listen to us."
Did you book that while we were working together?
Yeah, I think we did. I think I did.
I think she came to pick you up from work once, and I
You
told her she
called
would
her? Yes. Yeah, she did. We were on a late or something together. She came in
yeah,
and she
when
was
she came
like, I remember
try.
that. And you even walked.
Anyway, you're still a bit at it.
Um, um,
Happens to me. We spend like 4 hours on the phone because we completely forget what we're talking about.
we do. We do. It's not good. And I loved it, and the whole film's just beautiful, and it it's just it doesn't sum up my dancing life really because my parents are really supportive, and
Right.
unlike Billy's dad was really not, but my
Hmm.
parents have always been really supportive and since I started. So, but I think it just shows about boys in the industry and really well, and the um, it's sort of that rags to riches sort of story, which is just brilliant. I love it, and I think it meant more to me the fact that I saw the theatre show, loved it, and then saw the film and loved that as well. I think I love the theatre show more because of just because there's more dancing in it, really. But the soundtrack to the original film's brilliant. All of it is just fab.
That's a nice choice. It's not what I thought you were going to say, but it is a nice choice because
What did you think I was going to
I
say?
assumed you would get down the fact of like career choice. It's the reason I've thought about getting into it and being a dancer and stuff.
Yeah, in some ways it is. In some ways it is. I think because that was my. It wasn't the first theatre show I saw. I saw quite a bit in Birmingham before, but that was the first thing I saw in the West
In
End.
London. Okay.
I remember watching the theatre show. It wasn't so much the film, but it was the theatre show and me sitting going, "Yeah, I want to be him one day. I want to do that." I
Yeah.
remember turning to my mum and saying that, but it wasn't the film that made me do that. I think it was the show.
Okay. Interesting.
Yeah,
That's
but
that's something I need to talk to you about some other time. That's something else that you want in your brain. Talk about that off video. Right. So, the next one is Freak 2. Is that the
pardon?
next one you? The
Yeah.
the next one I've got is the film Freak 2.
Um, yeah, go on.
Todd's not sure, so he's going to get me to go first. I'm related. I've got two on, and I've got different reasons for both. So the first one is The Art of Getting By.
Ooh.
A film. Have you seen it?
I haven't, no.
It's an interesting film about. To be honest, I haven't seen it for a long time, and in fact, I think it was on my old version of this, but I think I put it in a completely different category, like maybe didn't hold up film. I rewatched it to prove my own point and loved it the second time. Like halfway through the film, I was like, "This is going to be awful," and then it ended, and I was like, "No, this is actually brilliant." So, from what I can remember of it, it's all about this lad and a girl, and he's an asshole. Like teachers hate him, and it's like his like the art of getting by, the art of him getting through school,
right?
Just winging it. At the time seeing it, I watched it, and I remember sitting in the cinema. What is his name? He plays Charlie Bucket. Freddie Highmore. Freddie Highmore's in it. And he's the man. When I was watching it, I was like, "This is me. This is 100% me at school." Like I clashed constantly with teachers, and it was all about me trying to just get from here to where I needed to be as simply as possible, while also pick up every single teacher. But I'd say the main one, the character I relate to most, is Planet. So I had to make an appearance on this list, and well, a boy and his single mother, and him off into the world on his own and adventuring and doing this sort of, and it's just so much my life, and I love that film to death.
Such a good film.
Just I love that movie.
So good.
It's
oh, it's so good. It's so good, and every adaptation of Treasure Island is good.
Did you see one that they did for at home?
The National Theatre one?
Yeah.
Yeah, really good.
It was amazing.
Really good.
I saw it, and I need to play Ben in that.
You need to play Ben, you do.
Yeah. As soon as it came on my screen, I was like, "That's me." So what have you done on that one?
Most relatable, I really struggled with. I have not wrote anything down, but there's a few things floating in my head that aren't necessarily the most relatable things for me, but there's certain characters that maybe I'm probably related to at school, maybe, I don't know. Like Bill Elliott's obviously sort of one in some aspects, but things like Michael Cera in Superbad.
Okay.
Sort of me all
Yeah,
over.
I can see that. I can see that with you at uni, 100%.
Sort of me all over, really. Just really awkward in it. Yeah. That was one, and the other one was Booksmart. Have you seen Booksmart?
It's on my list, and I keep like every time I sit down to watch a film, I go, I don't know if I've got the time to sit and really pay attention to this film, and I need to give it the time it deserves.
It is good. It's brilliant. Really well done. Beanie Feldstein's just hilarious. And it's probably the two main girls in that because they're a similar sort of character to Michael Cera in Superbad.
Okay.
They're sort of quite nerdy, and they sort of have their own adventure one night. They're like, let's go out and get absolutely wasted, and they go completely overboard. And but I'm not the sort of person to go overboard. I'm sort of them before they get pissed.
Yeah.
But yeah, I've struggled with that one. I don't think I've seen a film that really properly relates to me yet, but there's got to be one out there. I think
I definitely struggled. It was just because I realised the planet had a son and a single mum in it.
Yeah.
Actually, especially now I've gone to university, like it's almost like I've gone worlds apart from her. Like it's just weird how that's sort of all of a sudden become one I can relate to them. What's the next one on your list?
I've got sexiest film next. Have you?
I have. which means you can have a bonus one too. So my sexiest film, because I was trying to think about this, and I don't really watch many films sex. Got a lot of nudity and sex in them and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I went with Romeo and Juliet.
What, the Leo one?
Yeah, the Leo one. I just think that's very aesthetically pleasing, is the way I'm going to put it.
I agree.
It looks pretty, like, and if you want, there's topless men in it. Well, we'll throw that in there as well. That's the sexy moment for you.
Definitely been like thrown aside for then. Topless men. Oh, Mercutio, here he is. For
it's going done. It's in his prime, Leo.
in his prime, Leo. That's true. It is in his prime, Leo.
So what have you gone for? Because I'm curious now. You're taking the mick out of my Romeo and Juliet.
See, that film, I don't like that film, and I don't know why.
Okay.
I do, but I think it's too much of a weird modern adaptation to warrant such a beautiful story.
Yeah, okay.
It
fair.
messes with my mind a little bit. I've seen a really good modern adaptation on stage, which was completely different, which was phenomenal, but I think that...
Yeah. I had to watch something for uni, and I was watching it, and it's quite a modern version. And I was sitting watching it thinking, this is brilliant. I usually don't do it, but this is brilliant.
I watched the RSC version, and I watched it in London the first year of uni. It was on at the Barbican, which is like round the corner from uni.
Yeah.
And I loved it, and it was phenomenal. And the girl who played Juliet was only about 17, from Scotland, and she was incredible. Yeah, really good. I think we watched that film quite a lot in school as well, and that's probably why I don't like it, because it was just a film that they'd stick on, and I was like, oh.
Yeah, we'll stick Romeo and Juliet on.
Yeah.
That's fair. But to be fair, if I hadn't really watched it, because one of my friends from uni, and she wanted Ollie to watch, and she went, I'm going to stick it on, do you want to come and watch it? And I went, and I'll put in the background, I'll play some games on my Switch at the time. I remember putting my Switch down and just watching the whole thing. And I was like, I don't remember loving this film as much as I did, but I just remember it. When I watched it, I was like, this is so aesthetically pleasing. The bit in the fish tank.
Oh, the bit in the
really
fish.
Nice. Yeah. So I went for it. Aesthetically pleasing.
Oh, fair enough. Okay, so my sexiest film. I did struggle with this one as well, because a similar sort of thing I don't really watch.
Yeah.
Much. But it was 9-year-old me watching Mamma Mia, I think.
Okay.
Flipping it. Even to this day, Amanda Seyfried is... Oh, my God.
Tell me about the topless, like, fiance.
Not okay.
The man parading.
I think it was Lay All Your Love on Me. That was the sexiest scene, and that the bit on the beach with Dominic Cooper and Amanda Seyfried. Flipping heck.
In fairness to you, now you had that, I feel like
setting,
yeah,
because it's in a beautiful setting.
Yeah, exactly. It's in a beautiful setting, and you've got it backlit. Amanda Seyfried is backlit with that beautiful setting, and you're like, I'm on the line. I'm just in love.
Yeah. In fairness, yeah, I'll give. So I'm curious about this subcategory for us, because both of us are saying we don't watch sexy, and I've saved myself, I think. So the troubling boners, worrying wide arms, because one of us had to say it. I've gone for 10 Things I Hate About You.
Oh, okay. Why? What part?
I really like Julia Stiles. Like, when I was younger, I was like, oh, she was my Amanda Seyfried, put it that way. And in one scene, she gets, you should never take advantage of a woman she's drunk. That's where I'm going for a troubling.
Okay, that's an interesting turn on it. No, I like that.
I tried.
That's interesting.
Yeah, going for Magic Mike. I mean, I was imagining my double XL in the cinema, so
Yeah,
I could say
because
that.
like obviously it's women.
Yeah.
So you're like, they're not guys.
So what have you gone for on this one?
Okay, I have gone for. Whoops. I've gone for Jennifer's Body. Have you seen Jennifer's Body?
I have 100%. I agree. Thought about Jennifer's Body. I think we've ended up on
Because
my
it's just the
list.
fact that they're killing people and sucking their blood, but they're so. Amanda Seyfried's in that as well. Whoops.
Yeah. How did she end up in my list twice?
Amanda Seyfried and Megan Fox just killing people
Yeah.
is quite arousing. I'm not gonna lie to you.
Yeah, have you seen Jennifer's Body?
No, but then I don't really see that way anyway, so I don't.
Oh no,
Oh,
that's a good shout.
because it's I don't know why I'm like getting so like, oh my god, that's incredible to watch because they're killing people. But and then it's a bit. I think it might have been the bit where Megan Fox and Amanda Seyfried snog as well. Maybe might have been. I don't know.
I was very, very horny teeth when that film came out. So imagine for me.
Let's move on, guys. I have okay. Bonus now.
What's your next one?
My next one is worst film.
Okay. Do you want me to go first?
I have a list.
Okay.
I have a long list. Curious. Go on.
Oh, okay. This one's an honourable mention that I'm gonna start with. It's quite a new film. It's The Queen's Corgi. Jack Whitehall voicing one of the Queen's Corgi.
I remember us talking about this, and we still agreed to do this at some point. And I remember you saying, "I'm going to read it for you." The Queen's Corgi shows up as one of my worst films. I'm sorry to watch the whole thing.
Flipping it, it's not a good film. The fact that Donald Trump's corgis and one of the Queen's corgis trying to get off with each other, it's weird. It's a kids' film, for God's sake. It's not okay. It's really weird. It was an hour and a half. I'm never going to get back. Put it like that. But the worst film I've ever seen, right?
Okay.
Is a film called Dark Shadows. Johnny Depp, Helen Carter, Eva Green. Flipping it. See, I watched it when I was about 12. My dad bought it for me. It was when I was around that age. I still am into films, but I was quite into collecting DVDs, and it was something that my mum and dad bought me as just something else to open for my birthday. There was amongst other bits and bobs, and we were like, "Oh yeah, we'll watch this." One Friday night, I'll never forget this. We sat and watched this film. Me, my dad, my mum was out somewhere, but me, my dad, and my brother sat and watched it, and they were like, "Oh, let's turn all the lights off. Let's shut the curtains and everything."
Okay.
The 12-year-old me with my dad and brother was watching this on Friday night. It's meant to be a comedy horror. It's not funny in the slightest. It's crap. The jokes are crap. Really messed up. The fact that, what did I write here? Oh, there's a bit at the end where Eva Green's like exploding and her face is cracking and explodes, and it's just a really poorly made film. The blood in it is like bright orange, like it is in Sweeney Todd.
Okay.
But because I was 12 years old, it scared the shit out of me, and I don't know why.
Maybe Johnny Depp brought the blood over with him.
maybe he took it from the set from Sweeney Todd.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's not a good film. Ron, what are yours?
Actually, I'll go on to mine. Have you ever walked out of a...
I've never walked out, no.
No. I've never done it. I've been close to it. I know that I have. I to the cinema. I've seen people that have done it. But most of them have hard members that are just like, just can't us. So my films, the Hobbit series.
Really?
That's all. Yeah, one of my options in the Hobbit series. I read the book. I read the first. Love it. I read the first half of the first film, and they changed so much that I hated it. I was like, I can't watch this. And especially loving Lord of the Rings so much, I was like, no, can't watch this.
That's fair enough.
The most recent Planet of the Apes series.
Okay, I can see that.
Only watched the first two. Right, I fell asleep during both of them, and I never fall asleep in films, and I fell asleep during both of them.
Okay.
Clearly not good. And it's a toss-up. The most recent one for definitely the worst I've ever seen, because I might just be being really harsh about the other one.
Right.
So the one that's, I think, on my other list, if it's different, is Up in the Air. So Up in the Air is a George Clooney film with Anna Kendrick in it. And the only reason I went to see it is because Anna Kendrick was in it. And it's about, there's an air stewardess. I remember coming out of that film and wanting my money back and being like, what have I just watched? Could be that I wasn't mature enough to really pay attention on what was going on. So I'm giving it a pass, and I'm giving my worst film to that.
Okay.
Have you seen The House? Do you know what The House? The House is
Will Ferrell.
I believe Will Ferrell, and I believe it's Amy Poehler.
Is it bad?
It's about trying to fund the college fund children by having an underground casino in their house. I'm still waiting to this. But put it this way, this is how I categorise this being my worst film I've ever seen.
Go on.
Was a coach from Tamworth coming home after uni.
Right.
I had nowhere to go, nothing else to do. I still haven't finished that film. I turned it off and went, nah, I'll just be bored.
Fair enough.
I had another 2 minutes left, and I was like, this film's actually never gonna make. I'm never gonna finish this because it's never gonna be good. So I just stopped.
That's fair enough.
It's one of the only films I can think of that I've never finished.
That's interesting.
So I think that's worth the list.
Definitely. That's good. That's a good one.
What's
What's your next category?
No, you go. What's your next category?
Okay, mine is critically the best film.
Okay, you go first. I struggled with this.
Now I've wrote two down, but I've just thought of a third one, but I'm just going to stick with the two that I've wrote down.
Okay, I've done the same thing, but I'll say my third one.
Okay, so my first two films. So one of them is The Martian with Matt Damon.
Okay, I haven't seen it because I want to read the book first.
Oh, it's brilliant, like brilliant, and Sean Bean doesn't die in it, so that's a good film. I mean,
It's a miracle.
It's just brilliantly made. Again, a brilliant soundtrack of like 70s disco and David Bowie and bits like that in it. Oh my god, so brilliantly made. Matt Damon's incredible, just isolated on his own on Mars, just incredible for most of the film. Just brilliant, really, really well done film.
Okay.
And my other one is The Shawshank Redemption, because
fair.
It's just brilliant. We watched it again the other day. Me and my dad. We must watch it a couple of times, once every couple of months.
Okay.
And it's about 2.5 hours long. The film is, but you just sit and you're like mesmerized. Me and my dad like love it. I still need to read the book. I need to read the Stephen King book of it. But it's just brilliant and heartbreaking and funny and heartwarming and charming and scary and
Okay.
Well,
I've not seen.
Have you not? Oh, brilliant. Honestly, Tom.
I bought a poster. It's one of those classic you have films. So I've got like a scratch poster and it's on there. So I'm now trying to work my way through that poster and what else. But it is one of the ones that I'm desperate to see. One of the ones on there that I did get to see recently was Silence of the Lambs.
See, I haven't seen Silence of the Lambs, but I've heard good things. But I think I might poo myself.
Yeah.
I don't think it's that bad, but I'm not too bad with like scary thriller sort of films.
See,
so.
I have seen it, and I don't watch anything. I literally don't watch anything scary. And yeah, there were parts where it was, but I don't think it's as bad as some.
No, I think you'll be okay with it. I think you should give it a go.
Yeah, I quite like thriller films, so I might like it.
So one of mine, the one that I just thought of that I don't know if I should include and probably won't, is The Two Towers. Lord of the Rings: Two Towers.
Yeah.
I just love that film. But then, so the way I tried to describe it to Beth when I was talking to Beth about the questions is, he says, I used to say anyway, imagine aliens have just come to Earth and you have to show them a film and go, this is cinema.
Yeah.
And if you don't watch the first one, it starts with them running and you don't know why. So I have two. I will start with the older and then go to the newer.
Okay.
Jaws.
Yeah, iconic.
I loved Jaws. Jaws was one of my favourite childhood films. I watched it as a kid and loved it. My childhood was weird, mate. I watched Jurassic Park and Jaws when I was a kid. And I rewatched it recently because it's on that scratch off thing.
Is it?
And what I wanted to do is not scratch it off until I've rewatched it if I've seen it before. So I scratched it off after I saw it, obviously, recently. While I was watching it, I'd forgotten how, like, I forget for its terrible shark. Like, the animatronic now for the shark isn't great, but it's just so well done. And the storytelling behind it being like, shark, and it didn't work, so they had to find a way to tell the story without using the shark. It's just brilliant. But the most recent film that I've done, and I'm standing by this, you know, story. Marriage Story is on Netflix. It's Scarlett Johansson and
I've seen it. It's so good. And
Adam Driver. Mate, I have been good. I'm in the same boat. I was like, I've never seen it. If I'll ever watch it, and I watched it else on my hands, and I put it on, and I didn't want to stop watching it. It's the only film I think I've watched where I was like, I'm glad it ended where it did, but I want to know what happens next.
Yeah, it is brilliantly well done. It's so
into their story, into their world. Oh, it's brilliant.
We were talking about this at uni, and we're saying the fact that they've managed to incorporate like some Stephen Sondheim songs into modern cinema is brilliant. The fact that he stands and sings "Being Alive."
Mate, so you know how often I've been trying to get used to trying to sing that song for auditions and stuff. So I was sat watching it, and I was on the coach, so I was eating my dinner, and he goes, somebody, and I went, so what's happening? I was like, okay, come at me, movie.
It's incredible, and that moment is both heartwarming and heartbreaking. You watch, and you're like, oh my god, this man is going through so much shit, and
I just love it. It's honest. It's as soon as I saw it, it's the film the other person hasn't. I finished watching it. I think I might have even been halfway through. I added it straight to the list to see this. This is brilliant.
Yeah, it's very good. Very, very good. Very good choices. Very good choices.
So the next one I've got on the list is film you can watch over and over.
Go on, you go first.
Treasure Planet.
Oh, yes.
I couldn't. I know. I'm double using that, and I really didn't want to, which is why I put it in there as well. But I can rewatch Treasure Planet daily. I could watch it every day, easy. I watched it twice a day once,
Did you?
easily. I'm pretty sure I did.
I
There
think,
was like a lot of in this one. The Guardians, both Guardians movies, Guardians of the Galaxy films.
brilliant.
I could have put those in there. Far From Home, Into the Spider-Verse, all of these on the list.
Yeah, just go turn the light on again. It's getting dark in here.
Oh, professional. Yeah, like the Into the Spider-Verse, Far From Home. I feel like there's another one,
I only watched Into
but
Spider-Verse the other day and I enjoyed it. It was good.
oh man, so good, Spider-Verse. Um, so what have you gone for?
I've gone for Kingsman.
Okay,
I think Kingsman is brilliant. It's on telly a lot, and every time it's on telly, we end up watching it because
I'm annoyed that has surprised me for you. I'm annoyed at myself that that has surprised me.
I think that film is one of the best films in the last 10 years. I think it's.
What about the
What?
how do you feel about the second one?
See, I like the second one, but not as good as the first one.
This is what I've heard by a lot of people. I still haven't seen either of them.
Oh, they're both brilliant and they're both worth watching, but the first one is brilliant. There's a scene in the first one. There's so many incredible scenes, fight scenes and stuff, but the scene that me and my dad tend to rewatch when we see it on telly, we just wait for that scene and then we turn it off again. Is there's a moment in a church where Samuel L. Jackson turns on people's. He's sort of part of like a telecommunications company, and they've all got his sort of. Everyone's using his phones, and he turns on this satellite, and he turns people against each other, and turns them mental, and turns them a bit. So he does that outside this church. Colin Firth walks into this church, does that, and all these people start fighting each other in the church, including Colin Firth, even because he's a part of this signal with everyone. And they all start brutally attacking each other to an incredible song, and it's just really beautifully choreographed violence. It's incredible. Incredible film.
Sounds it. Reason I'm surprised that I didn't do that is we went to visit the actual shop.
We did.
We went when we went to London once. He was like, I was like, "Is there anything you want to do? We come here a lot. What do you want to do?" And Todd was like, "I just really want to go to the kitchen place, but we don't have to go." And I was like, "We'll go. We can do this. We'll find it." He's like, "I feel like it's around here." And we googled it. We mapped it. We did everything. We just stumbled at it in the end, and we've both got a photo outside of it. It was cool. It was a cool moment, but I still haven't seen them. But I will get around to them at some point.
I took someone else there as well because they were. I said, "Oh, the Kingsman Taylor's is on Savile Row," and he was like, "Let's go." So we went, and it's so good. Yeah, that's my one.
It's one of the things that like it's really cool to have had that photo in that moment. It was really nice. So what's next on your list?
My next one. Do you want to? Film that made you laugh the most. I think is my next one.
That's my next one, and then I've only got one more.
Yeah, I've only got one more as well.
So mine for this is Airplane.
Oh yes.
I'm really upset because there's so many films that I haven't mentioned on this list that deserve mentioning. But the second I read laugh the most, I was like, it's got to be Airplane. I repeat the jokes constantly. I can rewatch it as much as I can and still find it hilarious. It's one of the main films that has like formed my comedy and my humor. The way I try and make people laugh. So I have to put it on the list.
It is brilliant. It sort of changed the face of comedy, really, didn't it?
Yeah.
I think that coming out in the 80s, and then people like Jerry Seinfeld and all of that came along, and all of that started, and then all of a sudden, comedy's where it is with Melissa McCarthy and people like that now, and it's all SNL stepping in and all of that. I think it started with Airplane, definitely, or films like that, and Planes and Trains and films like that, and then
Yeah.
Brilliant. It is brilliant. So
So
mine.
what have you?
Let me. Where is it gone? See, it was a
Curious
toss
what-
up between a lot of Jim Carrey films. I'm not gonna lie to you.
Okay.
It was just
So
it was deciding between Jim Carrey films. So it could have been The Mask. It could have been Ace Ventura 1 or 2 because they're both hilarious. It could have been anything really, but it was Liar Liar
okay.
because that
Good show.
film makes me wet my pants. It's so funny.
All the films you've just listed are like on a list of films that I'm desperate to rewatch because I don't remember the film enough to comment about it. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like The Mask has just been put on Netflix, and I was like, I don't remember the last time I even saw this film. Liar Liar. I don't remember the last time I saw Liar Liar.
Liar Liar is on. It's one of them that's on telly a lot as well. It's on ITV2 quite a lot.
Yeah, I think that's how I saw it.
And me and my dad are both into films and a similar sort of taste in films. Apart from he quite likes horror films and I don't. But we just sat and watched it again the other day, and I'm belly laughing. It's the bit that makes me howl is the bit with the pen.
Okay.
Oh my god, the bit with the pen. It was like the pen is blue. The pen is blue. Just makes me proper cackle. It's hilarious. But again, like The Mask was a film that I watched a lot as a kid, and I used to quote a lot. And I could probably still quote about half of the film. I haven't watched it again recently, but I probably could still quote it.
That's
Brilliant.
sort of like with the Philosopher's Stone.
Yeah.
We rewatched that recently, and I was like, Beth, I might be able to remember some bits in this. 90% of the film. I can quote 90% of that film. Easy.
Oh dear, they're so good, so good. Um,
I have a moment like what you were talking about in my final film, but I'll talk about that when we get to it.
okay, okay. Um, yeah. So, what is the film you will take to the afterlife with you, Thomas?
So I have two films. I'm only going to take one. So the film I'm going to take, I won't tell you about yet. I was going to take Treasure Planet, and the reason that I'm not taking Treasure Planet is I think I've overtaken it. But the reason I keep flicking between the two is I was talking to Beth about this, and I said to her, I was like, do you want to take something really popular because it's more likely to have gone? Or do you want to take something that's not as popular to make sure it goes?
Yeah,
And if I took something that wasn't as popular to make sure it goes, it would have to be Treasure Planet. But I can't risk going to the afterlife without Jojo Rabbit. That has to come,
okay.
right? That film ended when I went to see it. I went to see it with Ollie, and what we would do usually is the film would finish, we'd gather our stuff, we'd go to the toilet, we'd come out the toilet, and we'd go, I've had time to digest this film. This is what I think. That film, the credits rolled. We looked at each other. We literally turned and went, "That was the best film I've ever seen." Sat in the cinema, and I was like, and at the time I said to him, I was like, I don't know how often I'd want to rewatch it because I feel like I'm going to ruin it for myself or watch
Yeah.
it too much, or it's not going to be as good on a second viewing. I've watched it 5 times since then. I saw it again in the cinema. I've watched it 3 times on DVD since. It might be the best film I've ever seen. It's 100% my favourite film right now, and could be for a long time. Have you seen it?
I haven't yet because I went to go to the cinema and my mate was an hour
Oh,
meeting me. So I didn't.
yes, I remember this. Oh, I'm devastated for you, Todd.
My mate was.
Um,
I should have just gone in, but it was late meeting me and we didn't see it.
it's hilarious. It makes you like cry. It's the only film I can think of in recent memory. While I was sat in the cinema, I've seen it both the 2 times I've seen it in the cinema, and one of the times I've seen it with other people on DVD while I've been at home. It's the only film I know that in a specific scene everyone has gasped.
Really?
And I was like, how is this happening? They've made a comedy about Nazis that's hilarious. Genuinely, there's a scene in it that, without fail, still after 5 times watching it, I still can't help but laugh, cry with laughter at. It's just brilliant. I'm not going to tell you what scene it is because I don't want to ruin too much of the film for you and for Beth, who tried to watch it and fell asleep. But I don't want to ruin it, so I'm not going to say anything. But it's genuinely, it's one of my favourite films of all time.
I was really annoyed at myself, actually. I was trying so hard to stay awake because I was really enjoying it, but the harder I tried to stay awake.
And it's one of those films as well, like, so Beth had like woke up and she was like, oh my God. And I was like, you've got like 30 seconds to the end. I'm stopping it. And she went, no, let me just watch the end. You have to watch the film to understand why it ends the way it does.
Yeah.
You have to watch the whole thing. I had to turn it off and see what happened at the end. So that 100%, I could talk to her in the face about Jojo Rabbit and how good that film is.
Okay, it's definitely up there. It's just when it becomes available on a streaming platform, I will be there.
We'll socially distance the streaming of it. I'll show you on the side of a house if I have to.
Yeah, you got a white sheet. I've got the car back next week.
Yeah,
got a projector.
So what are you taking with you, Todd?
Okay, I'm going to take About Time. I think that film is hands down my favourite film of all time at the moment.
Is that the one about the author?
No, About Time is about with Rachel McAdams and Domhnall Gleeson, and it's
the film I'm thinking of. I'm just getting the plot wrong. I am thinking of that one.
So it's about this
about the son and his dad, and they can travel through a closet. Yeah, I remember. Do you know what? That is a film I need to rewatch. I remember loving that film at the time.
Oh my God, it's perfect. My brother hates like rom-com romantic films, but we watched that and absolutely, I remember watching it and him loving it as well, just because it's so funny. Richard Curtis has done an incredible job with that film.
Richard Curtis is very underestimated, I think.
He does.
He does a lot of good.
Notting Hill, Four Weddings and a Funeral, Love Actually, all of those films are incredible, but this might be my favourite one he's done.
I think that's fair.
Brilliant.
I still remember the scene with, what is his name? His dad.
Bill Nighy.
Bill Nighy, and he sits his son down and he's like, right, I've got to tell you about our family secret, and he just says it instead of like building, and it's that little relationship that I remember loving that scene. It's so good. I'll give you that. That's fair.
Some people might say it's problematic, and I can see where they come from in some respects, because there's one moment where him and Domhnall Gleeson and Rachel McAdams have sex for the first time, and he's like, oh, she didn't like that, I'll go back in the closet and go again. So people are like, well, that's a bit, why is he doing that for? But I think it's hilarious.
I just remember loving it. I do remember coming out and people being a bit about some bits. I think that might have been one of them, but I just remember thinking it was great.
I think it's brilliant, and again, the soundtrack's amazing. There's songs from that film which I've got a playlist on Spotify, and I call it my Deep Thoughts playlist, just because sometimes you just need a bit of like a. There's a song called "Into My Arms" by Nick Cave, which is in that film, which is brilliant. How Long Will I Love You, which Ellie Goulding wrote, but it was sang in the film by someone else. Brilliant. Loads of songs in that film. There's the song that he makes a walk down the aisle to. It's like an Italian opera singer. What's it called? Oh, Il Mondo. It goes like, I can't remember what the song's called, but it just goes like that. That's what I remember. It's just brilliant, and I think it's really going to stand the test of time. I think it's a pinnacle of the 21st century rom-com era. I think it's very relevant. I love it.
It's a good choice. I like it.
Very good. Very good. Right, I have got more questions, which do you remember we discussed before?
Okay. So I won't have prepped for this, but I'm ready to be hit by
the
it.
extra. See, I don't know if you want to do this another
I
time.
remember us having this conversation, but I haven't been able to find these extra questions online. So I've got them written down at home, but I will go for it. So go on, hit me.
See, some of them I made up myself. I'm not going to lie to you.
That's fine.
Okay.
So for this, to give me more time, I want you to answer at the same time. So ask the question, answer it, and I'll think about what my answer is going to be.
Okay. So the best film that has come out during the past year, I've got 3 for these.
Well, I've got one.
Okay. I know what you're going to say.
I'll try and think of another one.
My 3 are Bohemian Rhapsody, Rocket Man, and Yesterday.
Very good films. I wasn't a huge fan of Rocket Man because I don't think it knew what it wanted to be.
Yeah, I get what you mean.
Bohemian Rhapsody last year.
But when we had the question, when
I wrote that. Yeah. Okay, let's go with Rocket Man and Yesterday then. That's a good point. That's a very good point.
Yeah, because I feel like it was trying to be a biopic as well as a musical, but didn't know which one it wanted to be. I think it did a lot of interesting things, and I did really enjoy it. But I don't think it was as good as
killing himself in the pool, and that dance sequence was brilliant.
My problem with it, and it's horrible to say, my problem with it, Elton John is still alive, so it doesn't end.
Yeah, it doesn't end. Yeah, you're right.
Really...
I think he wanted to be quite heavily involved. I think that was the point. I think he wanted to do it before. Obviously, he's probably got another 20 years or whatever. But I think he wanted to be involved purely because there's a lot of uproar and controversy on his story, and I think he wanted to be involved and tell it right and tell it truthfully, but make sure it was. I reckon that's probably why he said, "Look, I want to be involved in the making of it." But yeah,
like Yesterday, it sort of took a dip for me when he met John Lennon in it.
Yeah, he meets John Lennon.
So I was quite surprised because I'd forgotten he was alive, to be honest, because you don't really hear from John Lennon very often.
No, he's not alive. That's an actor playing John Lennon. John Lennon was shot.
That's what I was surprised for, because I was like, I'm sure he's not alive. So
John Lennon was shot.
Who plays him in the film?
I don't know. Someone who looks like him. That's the point. That's why it's so nice, because the fact that...
That's why I was so confused in the cinema, because I was like...
Without the Beatles existing, John Lennon probably would still be alive, so that's why it's...
Okay. Yeah, it's lost me there because of what happened. I'm sure he's dead. He looks very alive. And Bohemian Rhapsody, that scene that they did at Live Aid is phenomenal.
It's incredible. I could sit and just watch an hour and a half of
that. Have you seen the side by side of that?
No.
It's inch perfect. Rami Malek has learned every single thing, and it's inch perfect. And when they did, so I remember this because I was fuming. I was in London for the premiere of that, and I was like, "Oh my god, I'm going to go over to Leicester Square. I'm going to see what's going on." They did it at Wembley.
Are you joking? Did they?
Yeah. So I wasn't there for it. I missed it. But that was just brilliant. So mine, I would say Jojo Rabbit, but I'm going to switch it up and say no, I'm not. I'm going to say, I don't know if this is within the last year. Spider-Verse.
Yeah.
Or Far From Home.
I think they were both last year, weren't they?
I think Far From Home was. I think Spider-Verse might have been end of last year, the year before. Sorry.
End of 2018. Yeah.
They were just brilliant.
Very good choice.
I love those films.
They're very good.
Okay, next.
My next one is best opening or closing sequence of a film. So this is an extra one from the rich Patreon section.
Yeah.
No, this was really hard. This was really hard. I'm gonna give an honourable mention to 1917, because that film is incredible.
Oh yeah, that's a good shout.
The whole film, the way
I'm not huge. I'm not huge. It was great, and then wanted to go and see it, and we've both got cards, so we both went together. And he was like, "I want to go see this," and I was like, "I'm not doing anything." And he was like, "If you don't want to," I was like, "No, it's fine. I want to see it. I want to see what it's like." In fairness, I was quite surprised by how good that film was.
It was brilliant. Me and my dad went. I came back home from London in January for my birthday, and it's the day before my birthday. My dad picked me up after work. We both were on about going to the cinema. It was about 2 o'clock in the afternoon. It wasn't. He'd finished work early. We went to Star City, and we went to see that. We were like, "Yeah, we both fancy that." It was the day before my birthday. We both came out, and we were like, "That was brilliant." That's probably my favourite film of the year so far. That is.
I was quite surprised because I'm not usually a huge person when it's Oscar season and they release a film, and I'm like, "This is for the Oscars." But yeah, that was one that I was like, in fairness, yeah, I can see why this is nominated for an Oscar.
But that I didn't actually write that one down, but I think that both the opening and closing of that is brilliant. But the one
opening or closing for that because they're both really good, really strong scenes.
But the best opening I wrote down had to be the Up opening sequence because it makes me cry my eyes out.
Didn't you?
The what?
We went to Pixar in concert.
Huh? Yeah.
Did you see Pixar in concert with me?
Yeah, I did. Sorry, you were breaking up.
No, it's all right. That's why I was giving it a second. Because they did virtually the whole opening sequence together. And I think I've only up once, and even with the live orchestra, I was like, I might cry. This might get me.
It is. It's but that's the only problem that I have with Up is that
it's the brilliant opening sequence that they can't live up to.
It's that 10 minutes that just break your heart, and you're like,
and then the rest of the film just doesn't live up to that.
No, it doesn't. It doesn't.
Sad.
So my opening sequence, I'm going for. There's a couple in my head, but the one I'm going for is The Dark Knight.
Oh, nice.
That's not been mentioned on my list, and that opening sequence is brilliant.
Is that the opening sequence where the Joker's robbing the bank?
Yeah.
I'm thinking of the right one.
And he stands there, and there's two of them left, and he goes, "I'm going to shoot." He aims his gun at him, and he's like, "I'm going to kill you because you're clearly here to kill me." And he goes, "No, I killed the bus driver." And he goes, "What bus driver?" And the bus runs back into him, and he just shoots him over his shoulder. I think it's just brilliant. He's so good, and it introduces the character so well. Oh.
We looked at that scene in media studies for GCSE, and we were looking at the way it was shot and everything, and it was a lot of the tracking shot to the bank and all of that, and it was just brilliantly shot.
It's so good. That's such a good opening scene.
You guys got so much better things than I do.
What were you going to say?
Greatest Showman.
Greatest Showman. Oh, in fairness, that's a good opening
really
scene.
Really good.
Because to be fair,
great opening scene.
I hate La La Land. I think it's bloody awful.
I haven't seen it still, so I can't comment. But to be fair, that opening scene for Greatest Showman, the second it ended, I went, "This is going to be fabulous. I'm going to love this."
Well, I went in to see that. We had found out that week that we weren't doing Hello Dolly anymore for our show. We were doing Chitty. So I was like on cloud nine with, "Oh my gosh, I am going to be in Chitty Chitty Bang Bang. This is amazing. I'm going to have a flying car." And I went to see minutes later, I got out of that and I was like, "Fuck Chitty, I want to do this. I want to do this Greatest Showman."
The only issue I'm going to say I have with the Greatest Showman is because it's a song, I'm sick of hearing that song.
Oh yeah, like
every single I'm doing come and see me in this show that I'm doing that's like a load of different songs from musicals. The Greatest Show is in there.
Yeah, showcase.
And I'm getting sick of seeing showcases within.
But
I agree. And on Britain's Got Talent, it's just kids singing
all the time.
And that's the only reason I'm not going to say it's on there for me.
That's what I thought of when Todd said.
Right, and this is just because I've looked over at Beth and her DVDs are behind her. I'd say possibly I don't think anything will top The Dark Knight, but Toy Story, the opening for Toy Story,
the first one,
iconic. Yeah, it's iconic for me in my childhood. Like I can watch it now, and it takes me back to when I was a kid. Oh, I just loved it, and it's a pinnacle of the animation. Like it's the first film to do it, and it just reminds you of that instantly. I just love it.
Can you believe that film's 25 years old?
It's crazy.
Mad.
Insane. What's next?
Okay. My next one is the film that changed your perception of something or made you overthink about something in a good or a bad way. So my answer for this, to give you a bit of perspective, is The Truman Show.
Okay. Okay.
Because,
Very good shout.
Because The Truman Show just made me sit and ponder for days about life and if my life was a reality show and if it was. And what have I wrote down here? I wrote a little side note so I didn't forget what I wanted to say.
Yeah, okay.
I wrote, genuinely sat down for days wondering what if my life was one big reality show and none of it is real. Also, it's so ahead of its time in terms of how our lives are now becoming more and more reality show involved.
Good shout.
So that
like if I'd seen it now in the world we live in, I'd have probably felt more like that. Yeah, because I watched it sort of when it first came out.
Like if you watch it now, it completely you're like, whoa, but it's so ahead of its time.
So I'm gonna go with, because this is the first thing popped into my head, and it's gonna sound weird, but I am gonna defend this. Phone Booth.
I haven't seen.
No. So Phone Booth is a film. I think it's Colin Farrell and what's the name? Forrest Whitaker and Keith Sutherland.
Nice, good cast. Right?
Yeah, it's great cast, mate. You should really watch it. It's brilliant. It's all shot in one location, which is inside. Well, technically two locations, inside the phone booth and the outside area, and where he's positioned. So it's all about a man that has rang a phone booth. Colin Farrell's character picks it up, and he's a bit of a douchebag. And he's got a sniper rifle. Keith Sutherland has got a sniper rifle aimed at him, and it breaks down him. Talk about all of the things he's done in his life that he regrets. Are you proud of yourself? Are you happy with what you've been doing? You've been messing this person around. You've been messing this person around. You've got a wife, but you've been sleeping with this other person. Are you happy with your actions? Are you happy with the consequences of your life? And that's what I'm going to go with. Yeah, because it makes you think about: are you happy?
That's interesting.
Well, yeah, I made Beth watch it, and she was quite a. I don't know how I feel about this at the end of it, but I love that film.
It was a good film. Yeah, it's bizarre. It does make you think about things.
It's very interesting. I think you should definitely watch it. It's high on my list of things that I have seen and really enjoyed.
I'll jot that down then. Phone booth. Oh, that's good.
Very good.
Creepy.
Okay.
My next one is film or films. I changed it to films because I had films. You remember watching a lot in your childhood. Now this one, there's a few that you've probably mentioned and a few that I've mentioned that are definitely. But the ones that I wrote down for this were films and sequels from the 80s that my parents got us to watch. So it was Father of the Bride Part 1 and 2, brilliant, and 3 Men and a Baby and 3 Men and a Little Lady.
I love those films. I love those films.
Those films are brilliant, and we rewatched Father of the Bride the other day, a couple of weeks ago. Me and my parents, and I was like, this still holds up, and it just takes me completely back to being a kid and you guys introducing this to me, and it was just
okay. Are those your only ones?
Those are the ones that I've wrote down, but obviously Thomas and the Magic Railroad is.
That's my first one. The second you said it, I went Thomas and the Magic Railroad. I watched that. I was religious. The amount of times I watched that. Yeah. A lot of mine, I think, are Christmas films that I still watch now, like Muppet Christmas Carol, Mickey's Once Upon a Christmas. But then to take it away from Christmas films, I watched Jurassic Park 3 religiously.
Yeah, that's interesting.
Yeah. So I still have never seen the second one. I've seen Jurassic Park 3, Jurassic World, and Fallen Kingdom, but I've never watched the second one, still to this day. The only information I have on the second one is playing Lego Jurassic World, and the second film is in it. the only information I have on that. I've never seen it, but I watched that religious.
Fallen Kingdom's a film that people are like, oh, they've gone too far, but I really like Fallen Kingdom.
I like Fallen Kingdom. I'm excited for the next one. Fallen Kingdom is on TV on Sunday to date this video because I won't upload this until like August. It's on TV on Sunday, and Beth hasn't seen it. I was like, we'll watch it on Sunday so you can see what it's like.
For listeners, Sunday the 7th of June. Just a thank you for them for 2021 in case.
Matilda. I watched that when I was a kid.
Yeah.
But what I'm definitely going to throw out there, because I watched this so much as a kid, and I don't think it gets talked about enough. And I can't remember who I watched this with. I think it was Lauren, who thought it wasn't as good as I was making it out to be because she'd never seen it. School of Rock.
Film.
School of Rock is brilliant. What?
Is no Disney on either of those. I feel like I need to call Childline on.
This was a kid, and when I was a kid, I didn't have any Disney films.
When you're a kid, that's the prime time to watch Disney. And if your parents didn't introduce you to Disney, I feel like they need to be held responsible.
They did, and those are up there.
Yeah.
I've
seen a lot of Disney.
And Lion King and Tarzan and Hercules are all up there and brilliant. But
Tarzan I watched a lot as a kid.
To be fair though, my first ones wouldn't be Disney.
And Brother Bear.
If I'm being fair.
Oh, Brother Bear. Oh my God.
Me and went to see Brother Bear, and we were like, this is a brilliant film. So that's like mine and my mum's film. Yeah. So that's going on the fair of films. Sorry. So that was meant to be one film, and there's 8.
It's all good. It's a good question.
You guys listening to your answers, I'm like, oh.
I've got 3 more, but the third one I haven't answered. But there's probably about 1,000 answers in my head. That's why I haven't answered.
What's the third one? And then we'll go through the other 2, and we'll try and both answer it towards the end.
Okay, so the third one is best holiday film, so it could be a Christmas film or anything.
Okay, I've got like one. Oh no, I can see why you're struggling.
There's that many that I just couldn't answer it, so I just left it blank.
I've got one straight away, but then it's been added. I've added like 2 more onto it already. Okay, so we'll come back to that.
We'll come back to that because it gives us time to think.
Yeah.
So, guilty pleasure films, right? Films that you watch or watched when you were younger and you were watching it and you're going, I shouldn't really be liking this. And as a kid, for me, I quite liked girly films. I'm going to say I did because why not? So films like Centurions and like the High School Musical trilogy and Aquamarine and films like that, I was like, yeah. And Wild Child and things like that, I was like, yes.
So the first thing popped into my head was the High School Musical trilogy, because when it came out for me, I was at high school, and you had to be a lad's lad. You're a boy. What do you mean? So I wouldn't watch them, and we've rewatched all 3 of them recently, and High School Musical 2 is my favourite of the trilogy by far.
Really?
So I was surprised because I don't. 2, mate. I don't dance with them on the baseball field. Brilliant. I've loved it. But I couldn't believe. So we watched it, and I don't remember liking the third one that much at all. I remembered like 90% of the songs.
I love the third one. See, my order when I was a kid and watched them, my order was like I love the third one, then the first, then the second. But I think it will completely change rewatching it.
Mine is now 2, 1, 3.
Yeah,
definite.
Okay.
But I'm gonna go different. I'm gonna say Hannah Montana the movie.
Oh, what's it? Fair play. Fair play.
Okay, Hannah Montana the movie. That was my guilty pleasure film when I was younger. I remember watching it and going, I shouldn't like this. I'll watch it 4 times. So I'm gonna have pleasure.
Oh, so similar. It's so funny.
About the climb. I don't care what anyone says.
The
It's all
climb.
about the climb.
The climb.
What's that?
A Simple Wish.
A Simple Wish. That's got me.
And it's got what's his name?
Martin Short.
Martin Short.
Yeah. So what we were watching the other day. Yeah, and that's what made me think of it. And that film is awful. Like, do
you know what?
It's not a great film.
I'm still sticking to Dark Knight, and I'm sorry to bring this back to this conversation. Best opening sequences. Good Morning in Baltimore. No one's mentioned it. What an opening sequence that is in the film.
Yeah.
It is. It is a
Before we go back to opening sequences, and end sequence at the beat, that's a great end sequence too.
Yeah.
Okay, what's the last question?
This question is a bit of a niche one, but I've got so many answers for this. You know those films that are only ever on TV and they're released straight to DVD?
Yeah.
It's just the best one of those.
Okay.
And there's quite a lot from my childhood, and I don't know why, but there was quite a lot in this list that came up. So there was an adaptation of the book Ballet Shoes with Emma Watson in.
Okay.
The BBC thing, brilliant. An adaptation of Wind in the Willows with Matt Lucas in.
I didn't watch that, but I heard it was great.
And Bob Hoskins, brilliant.
Yeah, I remember hearing it was brilliant.
That was brilliant. But this thing is, with these films, I probably had a lot of them on DVD or video, and I don't know where they are now. They've probably all gone. I can't find them anywhere. There's sort of films that you can't really find anywhere now.
Yeah.
One of
you've given to someone to watch, and you've just never got them back.
Yeah, or yeah. I think a lot of them were video, to be fair, so we've probably sold them all. But, next one is a film called The First Snow of Winter. Now this, I'll send you stuff about this later, but it's about this little, I think it was about a duckling, I think. And
I know what this is. It's so cute, yeah.
They fly away, and he can't fly away for the winter.
Yes, and he has to like try and find somewhere, like, places to stay and stuff.
Places to go.
It's so cute.
It's so, isn't it, Beth? It's so cute, honestly. That film. Just film is sticking my mind. I don't know why. The next one is another one similar to that called Second Star to the Left, and it was an animated Christmas film. And you've got the voices of Hugh Laurie and Barbara Windsor in that film. Brilliant as animals, and I'll try and send you some info on that as well. I can't really remember it in too much detail, but it was
okay.
And the last one is called The Scary Godmother. I don't remember what it was on. I don't remember what channel it was on, but it was weird, and I just remember it quite vividly, and I don't really know why.
So the only film I can think of that I've watched that are like straight to TV movies are my terrible B-movie shark films. So I'm trying to think of one that I've seen specifically on TV.
Or like straight to DVD release.
Well, yeah, but like straight to DVD release would be Shutbus. Would have to be my number one. So I'm going to say Dino Croc versus Supergator. I don't think that came out in the cinemas, from what I can remember. But they started off on this trend of terrible B-movies.
Is that a home video?
With like little dinosaur men that I was like... so I'd say that it started my trend of terrible B-movie monster mash movies. I'd have to go with Dino Croc versus Supergator. I just remember this film of like a crocodile. People like, it's terrible because they're like sat next to a lake and they're like, nothing bad will ever happen here, right? And then like a giant crocodile just comes out and eats someone whole and drags them to the lake and shit.
Have you seen that? This came on Sky Movies the other day. I haven't watched it yet because I think I might poo myself. But there's a film called Crawl.
Crawl, genuinely. So I came out of the cinema and people walked out of Crawl when I saw it.
Oh,
They
really?
were like, it was half an hour to the end and people walked out of Crawl. I thought it was great. And there's some jump scares in there that got me. I was quite surprised. I didn't think it'd make me stop. Oh, it's really tense. I really like Crawl. I think Crawl gets a bad rap. And Meg, have you seen the Meg?
I haven't seen the Meg, but I think it would irritate me.
The Meg, so
You're
good.
weird, isn't it? Like shark films.
I love shark
It's just
films.
because you love sharks. You're like Chandler, aren't you? You're into shark porn.
Well, we'll see.
Took a bash about.
I've not tried it. So I just love shark.
Tried it. Oh dear.
Right,
Have
so
you thought about your holiday film?
I've got 3 in my brain that I can think of straight off that have just become 2 because I can't think what the third one was. I can't think what the third one was. Right, so the first thing that pops into my head is Christmas Carol.
Yeah, Muppets Christmas Carol.
Disney Muppets Christmas Carol, 100%.
That's
I think
one of
that is
my.
my top. Even the years when I've not announced the other ones on my list, that has always constant. I will watch this. I watched that. I've had this conversation with Todd before, and I think I've had this conversation with you. It's the film that I have to watch on Christmas Eve. The last film, I watch it and then I go to bed. I have to, and have done since I was a child. Even I got home from work, finishing late, got home at like 11, something like this, put it on. People were talking to me. I paused it because I wanted to help. I wanted to talk to them, make sure everyone was okay before they went to bed and stuff, because there was loads of things going on at the time. And then I put it on. I started the film in the end at about 1 a.m. and stayed up to make sure I watched it before I went to bed for Christmas. I'm obsessed with that film. That is my Christmas film, Christmas ritual.
Did you see Father Christmas at that time in the morning, Thomas?
Luckily, I checked his tracker and he wasn't near me yet. He was still in like
Right, then was he somewhere else? Okay.
That was good.
Otherwise, he wouldn't have come, Thomas.
He wouldn't have come, and that's why I literally shut it. I shut my eyes and put the quilt over me to make sure I was sleeping. So the next thing are more recent, but not more recent, and you'll see what I mean in a minute. Arthur Christmas.
That's a good one.
Yes, what a great film.
I remember watching that once when it first came out and thinking it was okay. Then I saw it. I think it was 2-3 years ago. It was playing on TV because we were opening our presents and there was nothing else on. And I was like, I'll just stick on Arthur Christmas. That's a Christmas movie because it was on TV. And I stopped opening presents. I just started watching the film. I was like, this is brilliant. It's got some great jokes in it. It's so well done. I love it. I love Arthur Christmas. And the third one that has become a new tradition for me is Deck the Halls.
Oh, okay.
I had never seen it. I'd watched. I can't remember where I was, but I was in a hotel, I think, and I watched half of it, like the end, or like the middle. No, it was the end. I watched like the end half, and I was like, "This film is actually really good. What is it?" And I went and bought the DVD, and now that's part of my Christmas traditions.
First time I saw it, I randomly saw it on like TV.
Yeah,
and then
Deck the Halls is worth a go if you've not seen it.
I've seen it once and I wasn't sure, but I think it was a while ago, so I might need to give it another go.
Yeah, because it's got some good jokes in it, to be fair. It's good humour.
Okay. Okay, so you've mentioned...
Are yours all Christmassy?
Mine are all Christmassy, yeah. I said holiday film in case people wanted to put like an Easter film.
My straight away one is not Christmassy.
What's yours?
Hocus Pocus, Halloween.
Oh, yeah.
This is a good...
Love it.
Good shout.
Hop is a good Easter film.
Hop is bad, Thomas.
Do you know what? I said it's a good Easter film. There's no other Easter film to compare it to. But Mum is obsessed with Hop. She watches it every year. So I think it's just brainwashing at this point. I think I've seen it so many times.
Yeah.
It might just be brain.
It's not. It doesn't hold up, I don't think. I wasn't a fan.
Fair enough. What are your films?
Okay. So you've mentioned some of them. There's loads going on in my head, but ones that stick in mind are The Polar Express. Has to be watched every year.
I have not seen that for years.
No.
I love that film, and
I will,
it
I
really.
will promise you now, I'm going to rewatch it this Christmas for you. Because I remember you telling me that this is one of your Christmas films, and I keep saying I'm going to watch it, and this is the year. I'll watch it this year.
And it was nearly my answer for one of the films I first remember seeing. I remember seeing it quite early on at the cinema, and I remember seeing it at. For some reason, I went with my mum's auntie, so my great auntie. I think we'd been at hers for the day, or she'd take us on a day out somewhere, and then we went to the cinema afterwards. And I remember being about 4 or 5 and seeing that and being in love with it. And that's a film we watch every year. Obviously, Home Alone's up there. That's 1 and 2, not 3, because 3's bad. Definitely. But The Snowman as well. The Snowman, flipping out. Honestly, The Snowman, I think I watch every either Christmas Eve or Christmas Day.
Yeah.
At least, because it's just.
I still haven't seen it. I thought I hadn't seen it. I think I've seen it now.
Oh, it's always on at Christmas.
I don't really remember it. Have you done the Polar Express event that they do in Birmingham?
I haven't got there yet. No.
So you can like book a ticket to go on the Polar Express, and you can go in your pajamas and stuff. I've been wanting to do it for the past couple of years with my mum because she's obsessed with Polar Express as well. That's like her Christmas film. So I'm trying to do that. I might try and do that for her this year if it's all possible. But yeah, I think that's. I'm weird why I don't really watch Polar Express because it's hers.
Fair enough.
Elf.
I always watch Elf when I'm putting my Christmas tree up.
Elf. People love Elf, and I'm not a huge fan of Elf.
Elf is brilliant. It is brilliant.
But it's not one that I necessarily sit and watch. Like it's like I say, I always put it on when I'm putting the Christmas tree.
It's on in the background, yeah.
I'm going to give a shout out as well to Halloween. The most recent Halloween film was actually really good, and I love
the one. Well, the most recent one I haven't seen it, but I've heard it was really good.
The most recent one with Jamie Lee Curtis coming back to it.
Yeah.
Oh, do you know what? I had low hopes, and it was actually really, really good. I loved it.
Well, fair enough.
I've never enjoyed The Grinch. I've tried it, and I've never enjoyed The Grinch.
See, yeah, I can understand.
I watched it for the first time properly last year or the year before, and I'm going to get so much hate for this. I hate children singing.
No, I hate children singing. If they cannot sing, I hate it. I don't find it cute.
You're not mine. Do you know what I mean? You're not cute because you're not my child. So when she is it, which is it like Cindy Lou? Whoever plays Cindy Lou, she comes on and she's like,
"Where are you, Christmas?"
I'm like, oh, find a note, child. Oh.
No, see, I am 100% with you on that one. I can't bear singing.
I can't do it. I can't do children singing.
If it's a child who sings, yeah.
And that's it. I've never watched it because I can't get past that scene.
And that's about 10 minutes in.
Another really good Christmas film, National Lampoon.
Never seen it.
I love National Lampoon.
National Lampoon, yeah, good shout.
And that's where we're going to leave it. We start rambling about loads of just different stuff, but all the questions were answered that are usually answered on the actual podcast, so I'm pretty happy with it. It was lovely to catch up with Todd again, and if you've watched the whole of this video, thank you very much. It's over an hour and 40 minutes, so dedication. And I'll see you again in the next one.